goodness. Melissa McConnell is back in the house for this episode. Can you believe we are on episode 151? I've been doing this podcast for a long time, almost 3 years since I started this in 2020. But Melissa McConnell works with NSPRA now, and she's going to talk a lot about NSPRA's initiatives working with social media platforms to help out schools. She's going to talk about the advantages and what's really all included in your NSPRA membership, and talk a little bit about the NSPRA Seminar that's coming up in July, which I will be at in St. Louis, and I hope you can consider joining me. Really great takeaways in regards to looking at professional development. And if you are looking to get more out of your membership because you're already an NSPRA member, or if you're considering it, we'll break it all down, including costs and membership options and all of that. So, and Melissa is so funny. So you're going to really enjoy this conversation. But before we get started, just this podcast, wow, 151 episodes. Thank you for listening. Please make sure that you've hit the subscribe button, because a new episode comes out every Monday morning and has for the last 3 years. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an important episode. And if you have never left a review, will you please carve out 3 minutes to leave a review on this podcast on whatever platform you're listening on? Those are really helpful to help other school communicators find this podcast. Let them know what you find valuable out of it. That would be great. So before we get into the interview, I'm going to give you this week's K-12 PR tip. Today's K-12 PR tip is a tip if you are low on content. If you rely on your staff, which you should be, relying on your staff to submit stories to you, photos and videos from what's happening in and out of the classroom, and those just aren't coming in. People often ask, how do you get more content? Well, my best tip is you email specific teachers, and you go to your 4K teacher and you say, Mrs. Berg, I'm really low on content. Would you be able to send me one activity that you have this week? Then I send an email to the 3rd grade teacher, Miss Cruz, I know you're doing incredible things in 3rd grade. Can you send me one activity this week, something you're doing in math class? I know you usually do this kind of activity this time of year. Then I might send out one to the art teacher and say, hey, are there some great new creations in your class that you could snap a picture and send me? If I would send out those 3 emails, for sure 2 out of the 3 of those people would email me back. Okay. So we've got to get specific and target some people, build those relationships, because when you ask them directly versus an email out to everybody, then you usually get crickets back, right? But when you're specifically making those connections, so hey, this week, send out those 3 emails. Let me know who responds. Did you get at least 2 responses with, yeah, here's what we've got going on? It's going to lead to more content, right? And that is incredible. So hope this tip helps you out. Now let's get into learning way more about Melissa, what NSPRA offers, what they've been working on. I'm excited for you to learn in this episode. Oh my goodness, we got a favorite back in the house, Melissa McConnell. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Andrea?
I'm good. I don't know what episode exactly this is. You were on episode 45. I think this is episode 151. So over 100 episodes ago.
Oh,
Can you believe it?
I can't. I mean, it really doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but you've been busy. Holy cow.
Yeah, exactly. And I love talking to people. And so I'm really excited to welcome you back to the show. So a lot has changed for you since you
Yes.
joined back in episode 45, back in
Yes.
2021. So can you tell everybody what you're up to now?
I can. After 27 plus years in education, 25 in the same school district, I retired in June of 2022. But my husband and I had the realization we still have 2 kids in college. So the position at NSPRA turned out to be a great opportunity and a great fit. I'm their current manager of professional development and member engagement, and it pairs kind of all of the careers I've had in the past into one, where, I've had experience designing professional development and curriculum for adults. Um, I love the member engagement piece because I'm still in the thick of it of school PR and connecting people with others. That it's been a dream so far, and I love serving the people who are actually a ton of my friends. So I couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah, it is a perfect position for you. I was so excited when the announcement came. You've been so committed to NSPRA and leadership, and now to be able to serve in the supporting role, that's awesome. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm having so much fun.
Yes, and we've got a lot to cover today, but being that we are the social media for mastering social media for schools
Yes.
podcast, I wanted to ask you about an initiative you're working on to help schools with the social media platforms. It's obviously can be challenging to get verified accounts and report impersonating accounts. And can you
Yes.
just tell me what NSPRA is doing, to kind of help schools through these challenges?
Yes. So I'll kind of go to the villain origin story I have. So in February of 2022, I was on the board with NSPRA as an executive board member, and we had a president's summit, which is chapter leaders from across the country came together, and we spent 2 days in learning and different opportunities. And one part of the day was a leadership panel, and we had one of our sponsors for the event actually came on at the end to ask open questions and said, what can we as sponsors do that would be most supportive and helpful to you as school districts? And I grabbed the mic and I said, you can help us get through to these social media companies that we need a better way to stop these accounts that hurt and harm our kids. You've got the fight accounts, you've got the smash or pass accounts. I said it's like whack-a-mole. You get one shut down by reporting it and three more pop up. They're impersonating our superintendents, they're impersonating our districts. It's rampant. And so the conversation kind of started from there. So NSPRA partnered with COSIN, which is the Consortium of School Networking, and that's a lot of technology directors for school districts usually, in the spring and summer of 2022. And we kind of crafted a letter appeal to all of the major social media companies. So Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Snapchat, and TikTok. I'm sorry, I should preface that is that first we polled our members to get their input on what the issues they were having, what social media content, or platforms they're present on, and more. And then from that data is when we took the letter to those companies saying, look, we need better. We need you to do better. Here are the findings of our report. And we've had some success in talking with them and meeting with them. But that kind of launched our hashtag K12 verify is what we're trying to do, is because a lot of it initially is turned out to be, we need to be raising awareness, because a lot of the social media companies were like, well, we didn't really realize this was a problem. We didn't think that it was a big deal. They didn't seem to understand that school districts are treated just like an individual user when it comes to reporting an account that's harming kids or is inaccurate information. And we said, if you made us all verified accounts, that gives us one leg up, because then people know they are getting the information from the source. But then the next step of that we would love is have a different route for us to be able to report those kind of accounts, so we're not having to go through the same path. It just really kind of rocked their world that they didn't really understand that this was even a thing or an issue. So actually what's been interesting is Twitter and LinkedIn have been the most responsive to our requests for assistance. But this is definitely a marathon. I mean, we're still reaching out, still coming to terms with what they have to offer. They seem to think that it's more of a student safety issue, which I agree. I mean, you have your safety platforms available, but that still doesn't help us on the reporting end. When you can have any anonymous name for your account, we don't know who it is. It's just the time your listeners all know, it's the time that it takes away from doing the job that you were actually hired to do, to fight those kind of battles, is what NSPRA and COSIN are trying to help do. So we continue to meet with the different platforms and those individuals to come up with strategies and ways to work forward, but it's not been a quick process at all,
Yeah.
to say the least. But what the good news on the horizon is, we do have a webinar with LinkedIn coming up where they're going to talk about it. And they're not, obviously not our biggest concern when it comes to these type of accounts, but knowing a social media company is willing to work with us and raise that profile, I think speaks volumes when we talk to the other social media companies about what's happening. Twitter has actually, in the process of, for our members who submitted their accounts, of getting them all verified accounts. I know Twitter has all the different check marks that are available, the different colored ones that school districts who have submitted through NSPRA or through COSIN are on track to get those kind of check marks to be verified as well. So
Okay.
that's kind of where we are in the process.
Yeah, you're really trying to switch this to a proactive versus reactive, and been so,
Absolutely.
so frustrating when it looks like an official page. They're using your logo. They start saying things
Yes.
about your kids or your staff that is very hurtful. And people are always like, "What can I do?" It's like, well, right now, all you can do is report it, and it
Yes.
it it, it does, just plain old suck that you have to go through the same realms. It's like, we're school like this. And some
Exactly.
of you are in big school districts with 50, 60,000 students. I can't imagine all of the rabbit holes you'd have to chase down.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yes.
so I think this is really great work. And, you and I are going to be talking about, some of this topic and other changes with in a lot of these social media platforms at TSPRA coming up soon.
Yes.
But another issue that's really been a struggle that I think you probably also are facing is just the whole business manager not being set up
Oh,
properly, not having access to. And I just want to share a little story because I was able to
please
help
do.
Scottsdale Unified School District get out of it. It was like it was like a Christmas miracle, but it was the meta miracle, where
Okay.
we got access. But I mean, they locked them out of the business manager account because several years ago, when the previous person who was in charge, which of course they're not there anymore, was
Yes.
given 90 days notice, and they didn't react. And so they permanently deactivated a business manager account with 30 pages locked inside of it. And then they
Oh my
said it's
gosh.
impossible to get out of it. Well, I was on the phone for 45 minutes. Luckily, my husband was driving the vehicle. And by the end of it, he knows how to talk to Facebook and how to understand it all. But finally, after not taking no for an answer and asking for a supervisor and all of this, I was finally able to be let in to the page. We have unlocked them, but it's
Oh my
so
gosh.
frustrating when they're
Yes.
like, why would you
Yes.
create a system where you would permanently disable something so that it can't be recovered, and there's no way that you'd be
Yeah.
able to get me in there when this is a school?
I
Like,
know. I know. It to me, it seems like they have the majority of what they're focused on is an individual user, and everybody else is just kind of secondary, especially if you're not one that purchases ads on a lot of these platforms, and it just, I don't know. It's been very eye-opening to see how their organizational structure works and just trying to navigate it. And Facebook is one of the ones. I mean, honestly, I would say the Facebook platform itself for our management purposes, like you said, it stinks. It's just because it changes all the time. But the biggest problem we noticed for all of our members was Instagram, that's where the kind of accounts we're talking about pop up, and
right.
having to report those has been the biggest hurdle. But
Yeah.
yeah, Facebook. Oh, Facebook.
We all understand, which
Yes,
is
yes.
good that we're all together. But misery loves company. But I don't like to say that. All I say, Melissa, is this. All of this is job security because it is really complicated. It's not like I
Yeah,
just get to play on social media. There's a lot to it.
yeah, and
But I really want to applaud you, and I want to applaud NSPRA for your efforts on trying to help out. So we'll have all of Melissa's contact information, but if you are curious about, gosh, I'm really trying to work through this, make sure to reach out to Melissa. She can give you the proper channels to
yes,
help get on this, kind of journey. That is not, it is a marathon. It's not a sprint, but
yes,
hopefully you'll
for
get there.
sure, for sure.
Yeah. So, NSPRA, they
Yes.
really serve school communicators. But many schools and many of my listeners, Melissa, out there, don't even have designated positions to cover this responsibility. So can you kind of explain who should consider joining NSPRA?
Absolutely. We know even if there isn't a school PR person in a district, someone is doing the communications. Whether it's a shared responsibility between maybe the superintendent's secretary and a school nurse, or if it's the superintendent by themselves, that someone's doing it. And that's where NSPRA can come in and be of value. It doesn't matter if your district size is 75,000 students or 750 students. You both have stories to tell. You both have crises that happen, and you both can get value from improving your craft on communicating in a better way. And so NSPRA offers that to its members and so much more. It's I can't say enough that this is such a unique avenue to get the best professional development that, I mean, of course I'm biased, and I think we offer the best of what there is because we can be so focused on one component of what happens in a school district. And like I said, it doesn't matter the size of the school district you're coming from, you all still have the same communication needs, and NSPRA's the organization that can help support you.
Is NSPRA specifically for only public schools to join, or can independent and private schools join NSPRA?
Independent and private schools can join as well.
Okay, so this is everybody listening. What
Yes.
I want to share with you, Melissa. So when I started in school PR, I
Yes.
knew nothing. I didn't even know school PR was a thing because
I
I was
didn't either. And I was
yeah,
in education.
right. One of the first things that people said was, "Hey, you should join NSPRA. Get to a seminar." And so eventually I did and got to meet all these wonderful people. What you find out is, I think more than any other career path and group out there, school communicators are so giving and
Yeah.
so willing to share resources. Like, you do not have to hit your head up against a wall, like thinking I have to create this, because there's schools all around you that have to do the same thing. So I really think it's powerful when you join an organization like this to get your hands on not only resources, but get your relationships built on those people that you're going to be able to reach out to for help. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
the ultimate thing I go back to is when I was still a school librarian back in 19 dickety do whenever it was into the 2000s. One of my principals, her biggest statement was dibs. Does it benefit students? And I said, NSPRA, we have our mission, but ultimately I think that's kind of the subliminal message that we have, that yes, what we're trying to do will benefit students, and what we offer our members in professional development goes back and it impacts those students in a positive way. And I agree with you. I joined NSPRA in 2015 when I first started in school PR, and I didn't know it existed, but I learned so much just from being a part of the association, meeting and talking with other people who do what I do, because I was a shop of one, that it became indispensable. If I had nothing else in my budget, my NSPRA membership was something I wanted to make, I kept carved out.
Right. And what is an annual membership for NSPRA?
You have a couple of options. So you can choose the professional membership, which is $295. And oh gosh, I don't remember. We have an associate membership too. And I've
Okay.
got to look up what that one is. But the primary difference between the two, while I check on that, is that the professional membership allows you to vote. If there are ballot issues, it allows you to vote to elect your leaders. And if you decide to earn your accreditation in public relations, your APR, you have to have a professional membership to do that.
Okay.
Then if you want an associate membership, where is that one? That's $205 a year. So
Okay.
you have all the same benefits, access to the same things, except you can't vote, you can't run for office, and you wouldn't be eligible to earn your APR with that status level.
Okay.
But I mean, the benefits you get all packaged together would be the same no matter each one. And then if, let's say maybe I'm a one-person shop and my superintendent wants to join too, you could do one as a one membership, and then you get a discount on the second membership.
Okay. Perfect. So a lot has changed, and a lot has changed even since you've been added into this role as far as some of the benefits. So, $295 for a whole year, very, very affordable for your school. You guys, schools are all about professional development and educating, right? So, this
Yes.
is kind of your group. So, can you just help lay out what the member benefits are for our listeners?
Absolutely. So, what I'm most proud of is all of our webinars are free to members, and we have now over 20 a year that we're offering. We used to have 10, and we've now upped and expanded that with the addition of mini labs and corporate showcases. So, to tell you a little bit about them, we have what's called Leaders Learn webinars, which are really more of a panel discussion, and they're about current events in education and public relations and looking at that through a communication lens. And we have people on from our industry. We have people on from other industries to talk about any kind of information. One recent one we had was about school boards. So we had a superintendent who used to be in school PR. We had a superintendent and communications leader partners. And then we had a school board president who's also a university professor in communications. It's a great conversation on relationships with school boards. What's awesome about that is there's no formal presentation. We take questions from our members to be able to move it along. Then our next series is the PR Power Hours, and those are the opposite months, and those are more tips and tactics, things you can learn that will help you in your craft. Last month, we had Al Gore's former speechwriter on, and he did it on ghostwriting and speechwriting, because a lot of you may be doing either ghostwriting for your superintendent, or if you are a superintendent, it's a great way for you to perfect your craft, because the worst thing you can do is get up and make a big gaffe in front of people, and so having the skill set to do that is always something we can improve on.
Right.
Our newest set of webinars are our mini labs. I know as a one person shop, a lot of times I would go to a session or a seminar or webinar and listen, and they would say, well, we did this plan and it was great, and we used Google Analytics, and it worked out, and here's how the formulas came out. And I'm like, time out. How do you use Google Analytics? I don't know. So this takes that step back for the tools, the websites, the equipment that we use every day in school PR, and gives you a 30-minute down and dirty, here's how to break this down and even get started using that. So we've got one coming up on taking the best pictures. We've got one on, the top 3 things to remember when you're taking video. We've got Google Analytics. We've got someone from Twitter coming. We've got someone from LinkedIn coming. I think that series is going to be great. And then our last one focuses on corporate showcases. I always hated the one-on-ones with vendors when you would get pressure. It's like, I don't know what to say. I have to tell them no. I don't know if I have the budget. The corporate showcases kind of let you lurk and learn more about a product. So a vendor comes in and they can share about their product for a 30-minute webinar. We just had one this week from Just FOIA. So if your school district has a lot of Freedom of Information Act requests, they provide a service, but they also taught us something on what the big things are that people who are putting in those requests, what kind of the trends that are happening in that. So it was a great learning experience for our members too. So that's webinars. That's one thing. I think you get your value just from that.
Right.
We also have a great library of samples and resources to inspire your work. So it might be examples from your peers that were from award-winning submissions that they made, to scripts for crisis communications and other messaging. I said it's a great platform for when the stranger jumps the fence onto the playground while the second graders are out there, and that they're going to go home and tell their parents. That principal just needs a quick script that you can edit to be able to send home. That's what our samples and resources section can provide for you. To the higher level pieces, where if you're doing a kindergarten enrollment campaign and you need the ideas and see a good example of how that works, we have submissions from members that fill all of that out. The other great thing is a discussion group of over 2,600 members, where if you have a question or if you need help and need support, you just type it in on that discussion group and you'll get responses. So it's
Yeah.
so great. And new members also get a 15-minute one-on-one Zoom with me. So then you have you have a great chance to actually meet someone with the association and make a connection. And I love it because I get to put faces to names and get to know some of the new faces in school PR that we need to keep our eye on because they're doing great things.
Yeah. You must be busy because you guys are really growing. I mean, we're hitting record numbers as far as
Yes,
members, right?
yes, we are.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, the NSPRA seminar isn't too far away. It's in July in St.
Yes.
Louis. I will be there as a sponsor with my team. I'm doing a pre-seminar session, and I hope to maybe be leading or helping support some of my clients in breakout sessions. So that's always fun to learn from one another. So why should people consider coming to the NSPRA seminar?
Okay, the NSPRA seminar is it's in St. Louis this year, so not my home state, but the state where I worked for so long. It's the most intensive professional development you can have for something strictly focused on school communications. It's something that can't be replicated anywhere else. You may go to another conference and you may get a couple sessions here or there that might offer that. Chances are it's school PR people presenting, which is awesome. But if you want 3 full days of incredible learning, actually 3.5, of focused on school communications and being surrounded by people who do what you do, it's well worth every penny you put into it. There are incredible speakers, not just the keynote speakers, but the speakers in every session. With the networking, where you can just pull up in a chair in the lobby and have a conversation with someone. The learning that happens is second to none. Your own personal professional growth and being able to see how the trajectory might look for you as you move along in the profession. We have incredible books to purchase written by other school PR people or by speakers in the communications fields. Just all the materials you get, the links to presentations, the videos, everything. You have fun, you'll be exhausted, but you will walk away feeling so refreshed in an exhausted way that it will propel you through the following school year, and you will those relationships you've made, the learning you've made, it all will continue until the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I've attended, I think almost every year since I started going in 2015. I think I missed San Antonio, but it's these people are now my friends. Like I just go
See,
around and it's like, oh
yes,
my gosh, you're hugging everybody, which luckily we
yes.
can hug everybody again.
I know.
I guess one year we didn't get to have it. It was virtual instead, but
Yes, yes.
and another great thing that I think is really important, which was really important for my business is all the exhibitors,
Oh
because they're
goodness,
all
yes.
in one spot. And guess what? We all give away really cool stuff I mean,
Yes.
food and your Smorino little dudes stuffed up that you can take home for your kids. And it's just really a low pressure way of getting to know kind of what services are even out there, and then probably getting to talk
Absolutely.
to a customer or two that deals with them that can really make your life a lot easier in school
Yes,
communications,
yes.
right?
And I'm really excited about Union Station where it's being hosted this year. I've been there like many years ago when it was still under renovations, but the way it's laid out will be so great in terms of getting from the exhibitor hall to the rooms to the member center to every part you would need to get to. The layout is just so beautiful and it's connected, and I think members are going to love it. Just the way everything is kind of right there for us is going to be incredible.
That's so exciting. I'm excited. And I'll be presenting pre-seminar session with my group on Saturday morning. And guess what? We
Yeah.
just found out, Melissa, Eric Church is in town that Saturday night. And so I got tickets for me
Look
and
at
three of my team
you.
members. We're going to see Eric Church on Saturday night.
Oh, that'll be great.
So anybody else that wants to join
There
up the
you go.
hashtag K12 Eric Church
We'll have
group.
to add that to our promotional materials that's something that's happened. I knew the Cardinals were in town, but
Okay, yeah, we
concerts
can
are
watch
another
some
great thing.
baseball too. But yeah, so I'm so excited. Melissa will be there to meet you in person. I'll be there to meet
Absolutely.
you in person.
Yes,
It's just a great event. It is an investment, right? But
it is.
there's
Yes.
there's a cost, but I think it could end up being really career changing, I would say.
Yes. The way I always approached it was we spend districts spend money on professional development, and but the value in what you do as a school PR person, you don't just affect maybe a class of 30 students. You maybe don't affect a school of 350 students. You're impacting all of the staff that work in your district, all of the students that in your district, all of the parents in that district, and the entire community that surrounds that district. Spending that amount of money on you and the learning you can do has those ripple effects that it's worth the investment.
Yeah. And I always say, if you can attract or retain one student, what is that worth to your school? In Wisconsin, it's about $7,000. Well, it's not going to cost you $7,000 to
No,
go to this
nowhere near
conference.
that.
So you just got to attract or retain one student. And if you're doing one student and it's a family, it's probably two students anyways. So
Yes, yes,
very, very easy to make that decision. I know schools
yes,
have tight budgets. Don't be afraid to ask, you guys.
exactly,
The worst that somebody's going to say is no, and know that you're interested in
exactly.
furthering your professional development, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
So, awesome. Well, I am excited. Now I really want July to come here, but
I
not
know.
not too fast. Before that happens, I got to have two graduates here in
Oh, I saw that. That's
my
exciting
household, my
news.
daughter and my stepson. So it's kind of crazy. Melissa, as we wrap up, I always kind of like to end with, what's your best social media tip, would you say, for our
Okay.
listeners?
One of mine is always using the actual platform as opposed to using a third-party tool, but I'll go with my favorite, even though it's been a dumpster fire later, something on Twitter that rethink or think differently about why you're there. Even though your families may not be there, who is? Future employees, news organizations, state and national associations tied to education, government agencies, government officials, chambers of commerce, colleges and universities. Their audiences are broader than yours, but if you follow them, tag them in some of your tweets, you engage with them, target them for some of the things you have, they can help become your advocates and share your news. That was invaluable for me when I worked in my district. There were not a ton of people from our district on Twitter, but I used it for those purposes. And with that filter, it really helped us widen our reach in terms of finding people who knew who we were and knew about us in a positive way.
It's really good advice, Melissa. And, Twitter is one of those things because it is only 280 characters. You can take some of the content that you've shared in other places, put it in there with some hashtags and some tags. It doesn't take you a whole heck of a lot of time.
It really doesn't.
And you can't even edit stuff yet. They still haven't done the
Yeah,
edit button.
I know.
So try to spell everything right the first time.
Yes.
But I like that approach of still being there because there is a purpose. So thanks for sharing that advice.
Sure.
So what's the best way to stay connected to you? If they've got questions, we're going to put it in the show notes, but can you
Okay.
share?
Well, NPR Mac is who I am on Twitter, but my email's mcconnell@nspra.org, but people always leave off a consonant here or there. So you can also just do PD for professional development at nspra.org, and that comes to me as well.
Okay. PD@nspra.org. We got
Yes.
Ed PR
And
Mac. Is
at
that
PR Mac. Yes,
okay?
that's me on Twitter.
MACK.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And we'll have that
Yes.
all linked in the show notes, along
Perfect.
with some information about NSPRA and how to get
Yes.
involved.
And I'm
Um,
happy to have a one-on-one with anybody if they just want to learn more about what we have to offer. Because I shared a few nuggets, but there's much more that we can get offer to members.
Yeah, and you're really looking for ways, especially with your position, you're always looking for ways to add. And so again, I've been
Absolutely.
so impressed in this last year of how much you've enhanced things. You're going to meet your best friends that can
Yes.
speak the same language as you.
Totally agree.
And so we hope to see you in there. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today,
Thank you for
Melissa.
having me on again. This was exciting. It was so great to see you.
Yes, good to see you. We'll see you in
I
person
see you
soon.
in Fort Worth.
Yes, in Fort Worth.
We're
We'll be
presenting together. We actually probably need to talk about that.
Yeah, that's our next meeting when we
That's
get
next week
together,
or
which is great.
tomorrow.
Melissa's super fun to present with, by the way. We filled a room back quite a few years ago at one of the
Yes,
NSPRA seminars.
Anaheim.
So thanks so much for hanging out. And listeners, take some action. Check out NSPRA if you're not part of it. Melissa would love to help answer your questions. And until next time, keep telling those stories, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.